Nintendo has Mario, Sega has Sonic, and Microsoft has Sea of Thieves.
Hey, what about me?
Sea of Thieves has been a passion project for Rare for over 6 years now, and it's had its ups and downs, and as a veteran player watching this video, I'm sure a lot of you are nodding in agreement. Sea of Thieves is a funny game. It's a game that's for everyone, but not everyone likes it, yet everyone has fun playing it. At its core, Sea of Thieves is a sandbox game, where the horizon is what you make it. You can engage in story-driven elements, chill out in a safe environment with just your crew and your ship, or head to high seas to engage with other players or gift them cannonballs and steal their loot. There really is something for everyone in Sea of Thieves, especially now in 2024 with the Safer Seas option and of course the release on PlayStation 5, which has increased the player base across 3 different platforms. At its launch, Sea of Thieves was a very basic game. The development team were too dependent on the story crafting of other players to make the game world feel alive, and it didn't really work as there really wasn't much to do. So it meant one of 2 things happening: epic battles across the game's only world event, the Skeleton Fort, or stealing Athena chests from unsuspecting crews. And yes, even in its early days, it was still a lot of fun, but it never had the feeling of being your main game. It was a bit on the side when you grew bored of other games. Go away. Over the years, however, never forgetting that at its core, Sea of Thieves has always been about player interaction, whether that be hostile encounters or friendly ones. But the developers got to work adding new tools, new world events, and more things to do, leading to more chances of running into other players. The biggest update that has yet to be beaten in terms of content was the Anniversary update. This update added fishing, cooking, 9 story-driven tall tales, harpoons to ships for easy loot snagging, 2 new factions known as the Hunter's Call and Sea Dogs, and a new PvP mode known as Arena.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
They attempted to appease every type of player in Sea of Thieves, and it worked. To this day, I'm yet to see a more successful update than what Anniversary Update brought to the game. And when I say that, I'm not really talking about the content it brought, but more about its broad range of tools that had something for everyone. Everyone was happy with the Anniversary Update, apart from the pigs. Before this update, however, the game offered new world events such as the Skeleton Fleet and emergent skeleton ships, roaming megalodons, and padded out the faction quests, making them a lot more punchy and more accessible. A whole new region was opened up known as the Devil's Roar that offered better reputation and better loot, a new ship type was introduced, the Brigantine, and a new attachable rowboat for players to use. The game continued to evolve, adding more world events, more encounters, more storylines, even crossovers with other franchises. The Reaper's Hideout became a thing, encouraging people to PvP. Well, some of the time. New phantom forts spotted around the world, underwater shrines and treasuries for players to explore. The emissary system was introduced, the captaincy system was introduced, and guilds, and a tremendous amount of other smaller features that really became the glue of the game. Sea of Thieves in 2024 is nothing like the game we had in 2018. It used to be 20 miles wide yet 2 inches deep, now it's 20 miles wide and practically bottomless. But over the years of its development, it started to run into one big problem: the player base. You see, as what happens with most online service games, when first released, they get a huge spike of players. Most of those players continue to play the game, whether they love it or hate it. Regardless of their views or their opinions, they continue to play. And this creates 2 factions, essentially. Those who love the game but are not afraid to view their disappointment when things seem, iffy, and then those who preach it's the worst game ever and it's dying every single week. But each side still always plays the game, day by day. And because of this, they create a sort of skill wall that others who have just started can never reach. And what happens is, whenever a new update comes out, we see a huge spike of older and skilled players rejoining the game to see all of the new stuff, and then a much smaller spike of brand new players who perhaps caught wind of a promo or a YouTube video and want to give it a shot. And it results with these new players coming into the game, and there is no way of putting this nicely, they get completely boned by us veterans. Furthermore, they join Discord groups, watch YouTube videos, watch live streams, and they see nothing but people talking about the mechanics that they simply do not understand, or doing things that are completely out of their reach, or they unfortunately run into people who are preaching the game sucks, or it's dead, who strangely have over 8,000 hours played, but funny that. Basically, this is the way it always is with online service games that have a longer shelf life. It's very hard for new players to inject themselves into the community, so what often happens is they are quickly put off by the game and move on. Yay! Not you! And unfortunately, it's been this way for some time for Sea of Thieves, with the veterans essentially gatekeeping the game and the newer players being driven away. This isn't the case all of the time, however, but in most cases, this is usually the outcome. But as stated before, it's not just Sea of Thieves that suffers from this. Any online service game always has this outcome. However, Rare did something about this by adding safer seas that allowed newer players or even older players a space to just have a laugh, understand the mechanics a little better, and get to grips with the game's world. And it worked. I mean, I speak only from personal experience here, but whenever I live stream, I am constantly getting chat messages from people like, "Hey, I think I'm done in safer seas, any advice for high seas?" And this was the intention for the game mode, so it appears to be working. But then of course the boldest move from Rare, releasing this game on PlayStation 5, a whole new untapped player base that for the most have never experienced Sea of Thieves. And as a veteran, I really envy these people. Imagine if Sea of Thieves released in 2018 with all of the features and content that it has today. I cannot even fathom how much fun the PlayStation player base are having right now. I'm literally jealous of them being able to experience all of the things this game has to offer with fresh eyes. But content and features aside, Sea of Thieves at this present moment has pressed the reset button. Forget tall tales, forget world events, forget reputation, forget loot, forget PvP, forget PvE, forget 9 out of 10 shots. Sea of Thieves has always been about the players. Without the player interactions within this game, the game just grinds to a halt. And in terms of player base, we are all day one. Once again, a massive new swarm of totally new players who just want to have fun, who are not swamped down by the daily grind and the pessimistic view that some of us have. They just want to get on a ship, fire cannonballs at things, and occasionally hand in some loot, and laugh the entire time. Just like how we used to be. As a veteran player, spare a thought on this subject, and remember, as you're firing cannonballs into their ship whilst you're foaming at the mouth so you can steal some chain shots, they're likely just laughing their merry little faces off because they're literally living the pirate sandbox, and haven't turned the game into a full-time chore, like yourself. We are day one again, pirates. Sea of Thieves never really went anywhere, but the joy and the love for this fantastic game is back. Maybe not for you who is watching this video, but for hundreds of thousands of new players. And this massive new player base are here just to remind us all that we're just here to have a bit of fun and not take everything so seriously. Celebrate, do not decimate. Unless they have the ship set, however. Hey! For your consideration! Thanks for watching, peeps. Before I go, I just want to shout out the wonderful people over at Apex Gaming PCs. They have been a sponsor for the channel and the hardware behind the channel's production for a long time now. They offer some great builds for people who haven't got the foggiest how to build a custom setup. You can either pick from a bespoke line that will tell you the sort of games you can play in HD, or you can do a little research of your own and craft your very own rig. Plus, if you use code Falcore at checkout, you can save some cash, and all links are down below. But until next time, calm seas and wind in your sails. Peace!